Hey, it's Password Dots, and today we're making a character from one of the coolest games I've seen in a while. This is a title that Nintendo just released a few years ago, a charming little retro game called The Legend of Zelda. This game comes free with a Nintendo Online subscription, and I've got to say I'm really impressed by it. So we're going to make the main character from The Legend of Zelda. See, this game is funny. They want to test you right off the bat and ask you for the name of the character. I was paying attention. This game is hilarious. So anyway, you start off and there Zelda is, just in the middle of a forest, you know. I'm a big fan of simplistic design and this character nails it. I'm gonna see whether I can bring this guy to life as a doll. As far as reference goes, I mean, this is it. Whenever I search for Zelda on the internet, I just end up finding this lady. So, for better or worse, I'm just translating what I see on screen into a figure. Nintendo gave us some really good context clues here, and it's very obvious from the ears, and the profile, and the Bible. We're playing as a gnome priest, dropped into the wilderness, and they have to gather whatever they can to survive. So I'm gonna try and embody all of that. We're starting off here with a classic base, a light tan dress sock. I'm going to cut a large portion of sock and fill it with stuffing. Just sort of an oval shape, potato-ish, pretty simple. And we'll stitch it closed. Some of the leftover sock will go to a pair of arms, ears, and a nose. These pieces we'll want to flip inside out first, then stitch them into the right shape. Then we're actually going to make the legs separately and drop the body right inside of it, like a pair of pants. This here is some faux leather, very thin, very easy to work with. I'm going to map out a shape for the legs, and all that needs to happen is we get two of this shape with the good sides facing in. Then we run it through the sewing machine. Or hand stitch, if you want. The choice is yours. I'm going to leave the bottom part of the legs open, so no stitchy. Now I'll flip these right side out, and we've got ourselves a cute pair of leather pantaloons. But what about these holes in the bottom? Just trace out 2 circles from the leather and... yeah, I guess I shouldn't have flipped these yet. Okay, and this is a little tedious, but I'm just going to carefully stitch these little circles onto the bottom of the legs. Again, the good sides should face in. The closer you make these stitches, and the more you try to keep them in line, the better the seam will look in the end. It's all about small details. Like, look at this game. Right away we can traverse the world and explore, but if you pay attention to your environment, you'll enter this subtly dark cavern over here. Walk in, and there's a survivor inside. God save you, old man. And he rewards us for checking on him by giving us a sword. That's so cool. Games usually don't lock out major gameplay elements like that, you know? And you found it by being smart and good at games. I think these legs look nice, so I'm gonna fill those with stuffing and place the body inside. And then we can sew on the ears and nose, give him a pair of determined lips. This is the point where we can put on Zelda's fancy shirt. And I've got a pair of Jesus. And I've got a pair of winter gloves that perfectly match his beautiful limey green. I'm just gonna cut the fingers off and the thumb. Then fold it over itself to add some thickness. I appreciate that Nintendo gave Zelda a bright green outfit because it makes him stand out on the screen, although it also makes him noticeable to predators. This game is hard. So his tank top is looking pretty cool. While I'm at it, I'm going to make his gnome hat out of the second glove. A nifty little trick to try is cutting the fingers in half and stitching the whole thing together as a bit more of a mitten. There are a few holes to fix up afterward, but being a gnome in this world ain't easy. Now it's time to attach the arms, but I want a little articulation, since Zelda is a man of action, you know? This is a cool tactic right here. I've got 2 big buttons and 2 small buttons. On the outside of the shoulder, I'll sew a small button. On the inside of the shoulder, I'll sew a large button, drawing them both in toward each other. And now what I need is a really long needle. I'm going to run thread from one shoulder button to the other shoulder button. Having buttons between the shoulder and the body works like a washer and decreases friction so the arms can move freely. See? You've been learning a lot in this episode. This belt here is more ornamental than anything, just something that Zelda wears as a fashion piece to break up his ensemble and give himself a noticeable waist. That's just a little bit of gnome trivia for you. A special quality to Zelda's face are his piercing green and brown eyes. I'm not very good at embroidery, but it's easy enough to stitch out a little square of green on each side of the face. Then we can just stitch brown squares right underneath. And then he needs a handsome coif atop his head. This brown sock is a pretty good match, and I like the texture of the ribs. Poor Zelda, you're looking a little past your prime. A simple hair transplant can fill that front line. After the hair is on, we can attach the hat. Some stuffing on the inside gives it a bit of added dimension. And there we have a completely accurate Zelda, from Nintendo's sleeper title, The Legend of Zelda. I had a great time playing this title, as well as building this doll. I appreciate Nintendo taking the time to make little games like this on top of making their consoles. They definitely deserve some accolades for this one, and I hope it gets a sequel. My only suggestion is that maybe they make Zelda a girl next time.